4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
All right, testing 1 2, testing 1 2. I think I'm here now. There we go. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. All my little green lines are jumping. I think that's good. There are some people still here after the channel took an R-rated turn. Probably won't stay. You're gonna leave church to go see a horror movie. I can't believe that, Chris. That's just wrong. No, I hope it's good. I'm probably gonna go see it. I like horror movies. I like Dracula's all right. I hear it's and actual Dracula is here in the chat. So maybe we should ask him about the movie. Do you know the guy? Is he good? Is the vampire in it a good actor? Do we know? Yeah, I need to see that. I do need to see that. Welcome. There's to the Church of Hard Light, episode 1. If you are new here, which I'm assuming none of you are, this is just this is an excuse for me to start. Excuse me. Sorry, my throat is. Nice. An actual Dracula hasn't seen the movie yet. Okay. We can't rely on him. But no, this is just one big excuse to start renumbering the new series. We'll have legacy numbering. This is actually number 390. No, I don't know. This so if you missed my big update, or I got very weepy and explained everything that was going on, this is going to be the same podcast on Sunday now. Basically, not a podcast, the same stream that it's been, but now it's called something different and it has an episode number. So don't get too excited. Sorry. Throat is acting up today. But no, good morning, everybody. Hey, Chris. Hey, Angela. Everybody. Let's get this thing off the screen now. I think we're done with that. But how is everybody? Hope everybody's good. So I'm starting massage school this week. I have my what do you call it? Orientation tomorrow, and I guess I'll figure out like, you know, where the bathroom is and all that stuff, the important stuff, what time lunch is, how long is lunch. And I'm probably eventually going to be using this stream to draw my book a lot when I'm not working, and I might work on some stuff at some point too. It's going to be whatever. It's going to be more of the same. Don't get too excited. Hello, Decepticon variant. How are you? Welcome, welcome. No, I actually have like a bit of a goal today with a drawing or two, because I've been working on my body and my posture for a while, and that's too big. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this. One, because you guys may pick up something or learn something, really just for my own understanding of trying to figure this stuff out for myself, so that when I do start actually drawing the book, I've got something to go on. But I want to start with an idea that I learned about recently in a book about Neigong, which is like a Chinese medicine wellness movement. What do you even call this stuff? There's no context for this in the West, but it's completely changed how my body feels over the last couple of months, and so I want to talk about that a little bit, and specifically just standing, actually, which is a weird thing to talk about, but we all mostly stand wrong, is what I found out. Yeah, we all stand wrong, and it screws our bodies up. So, where do we want to begin here? Let me start with let's start with feet. Let's start with legs here for a second. So I'm going to draw a leg that is with no reference. That is probably, oh, this is a good leg. Look at that leg. That is a great foot. Look at that foot. It just came right out of me. I'm shocked. Boy, that is a good looking leg. I quit. Hey, this is great, guys. All right. No, stopping forever. So when we're standing on our feet, I'm making it worse. See, I'm already making it worse. One little line. When we stand and we don't know how to stand, we typically tend to put our weight. So we've got this is knee. We got a bone here. We got a bone here. This is not. Or I got two bones actually. Not to scale. All right, and not even probably in the right place. But it's close. So, and then down here again, this is a very complicated joint with lots of things happening, but we're going to simplify it into just a couple of bones like that. So when you stand with the weight on your heels, right here, so you're creating a point of well, I guess compression really, as you're pressing your heel into the ground. Your muscles, actually your bones, have to sort of align in order to then hold you up, okay? And we're taught this in school. We're taught that our skeleton holds our body up, okay? I found out this is wrong. That's where we're getting to. So, so when you're standing on your heels like this, and the weight is here in this region, this has to be very stable on the ground. This bone, your tibulas, the tib fib bones, these two, both have to kind of lock in to the heel to hold it in place, and then your femur locks into those things to hold that into place. And so it's like this creates more compression in that joint, and we get more compression in this joint, right? Tibia and fibula. I do know the names. I'm just being stupid, but yeah. So, and this is how I've been standing my whole life, okay? And this is how most people stand, which is why you see people like they kick the leg to one side, they switch one leg to the other. Nobody likes standing in one place very long. It's uncomfortable, and I found out it's because we don't know how to stand. It turns out it can be comfortable. So anyway, if we take this on up the chain, let me go ahead. Whoops. You can move multiple objects in Clip by holding down Shift. Let's do that. And just to continue this, so like hip joint is like here. Hold on, let me make sure I'm on the right layer. What is that? Let's relabel. Bone. Drawing. And red. That's a good way of looking at that. All right. So again, this all stacks up. Your pelvis, which I found out supposed to float. We'll get to that. Your pelvis then is like here, and it stacks on that bone, and all of your bones stack on your pelvis, and on everything just stacks when you stand on your heels. It's the only way to get everything lined up. Okay. So what they teach you, and I am not an expert on this at all, not even close. I hadn't heard of this stuff like 2 months ago, but it's changed my life in 2 months, and that's why I'm here talking about it. So forgive me if this is wrong. There are people here that might actually know about this stuff, possibly. Hey, Winston, how's it going? So you guys ever notice how a cat walks? Let me find a picture of a cat walking. Hold on. Reference. Cat walking. Lovely. Cute little kitten. Look at that. All right. So I want you to notice something about Mr. Kitten. First off, very cute. Very cute. Okay. But I want you to look what's happening down here. Somebody's going to watch all this and go, what is this guy talking about? This is going to save all of you. Okay. So if you look at the kitty bones and again, I'm not good at this. This is actually their heel, okay? What like the equivalent bone, okay? So like there's a bone up in here somewhere, or maybe it goes that way. I don't know. But anyway, this is their heel. This is their foot. These are their toes, okay? And so cats do not walk on their heels. Like again, this is the heel, right? All right. So, and if you ever watched an old Western movie when they're tracking Indians, Native Americans, and they go, oh, look, the heel is on the weight in the track is on the front of the foot. This is a Native American man. That's what they would say. Exactly like that. And then all the white people and cowboys all walked on their heels like Americans, and they all had flat heels. And so in all the Western movies, you would hear, oh, see, he's walking on his toes. That's a wild man. See, that's a guy out in the woods. They know this stuff. It's all real stuff. So cats don't walk on their heels, all right? That's why cats look like they're just floating, okay? Because their heels don't ever get the ground. Their heels are floating, okay? And their muscles that attach to all these things are holding the bones in place, okay? All of the tension that goes around the rest of his body is what holds these bones up, right? The bones aren't holding the cat up. The cat's holding the bones up. Does that make sense? Maybe. Probably not. Okay. So let's make this something that we can do. So instead of putting the weight on the heel and crunching all these bones together, we're going to bend this leg just a little bit. Not even enough to like hardly notice. And actually, if I was actually standing here, you wouldn't be able to notice. But I'm sort of, I am accentuating this a little bit. And again, my anatomy is questionable. And let's see, the knee is there. And then you got legs going up this way, and you got your glutes, right? And this is not exactly lined up here. About that. Again, I'm exaggerating this a little bit. Okay. Are we there? I think so. That's pretty darn close. So now, so where is the weight? So instead of the weight of the foot coming down on the heel, here, we're going to slide the weight forward. Now, if you were actually to stand there, you can leave your heel on the ground and just shift your weight up toward, if these are the balls of your feet and here are your toes, it's kind of like right here, like the actual center point. I mean, the actual point making contact is here. The center of your weight, though, is more about right there, like right behind the two little big balls on the feet that are up here on the front. If you shift the weight to here, and again, your legs aren't going to bend that much, but they will, your knees will want to unlock. Like, because this, your knees is locked. And this one, your knees are going to want to unlock. Because now, instead of having, here's the heel bone, and having this thing just slammed into it, it's actually floating. These two bones sort of float here. And because this is unlocked, this bone and this bone are now no longer just crunching into each other. They're actually floating in each other. You can, this joint is being held up by the soft tissue now, okay? Which means you're going to have a hard time keeping your hips locked. Your hips are going to want to unlock, and your pelvis is actually supposed to float. Our bodies are not supposed to all rest on our pelvis, which then sits on both of our hips and puts all the weight into our knees, which puts all the weight into our heels. That is not the way that humans are supposed to move, is what I have found out. And the way that we've all been taught that our bones support the skeleton is not actually right at all. Because there is all of this spiral tension that goes around the body that holds the leg up and holds it together. There's sort of a spiral force going all the way into the ground. And you can think about that sort of self-sustaining vortex of muscle is actually what's holding these bones up. It's not the other way around. But when you do this, when you shift the weight forward, and again, your heel will actually touch the ground. I'm exaggerating this so that you can see what I'm talking about. But your heel will touch the ground, just won't support much of your weight. And if you stand there like this with your ankles relaxed and your knees relaxed, your pelvis will want to relax. Like it's now getting new tension from the bottom that it has not seen before. And all of a sudden your hips will start to like, well, maybe I need to do something else. And you won't feel like standing the way you were. So hold on, let me see. I just realized I don't have the chat pulled up. This is the only art stream where you learn anatomy tips and tricks, but unrelated to art. Well, it's actually not unrelated to art, though, I don't think. It's, and it's not a 4-foot strike. It's not really about striking, okay? We're standing, okay? We're just standing. This is not a strike, and I want to be real clear about that. The ninjas know this. Yes, ninjas do know this. So, anyway, to start off with, being able to get a sense of this, it takes a little bit of time, especially if you're not used to it. But I would say this is like, for me, this was step one of figuring out this. Because your body doesn't really like this, is what it turns out. And it will compensate to correct for this up above in your neck and shoulders and hips and rib cage and all sorts of things that get twisted because of what's coming from below, what's coming here. This can start to sort of undo all of that, is just by learning how to stand properly. And this is not meant to be like training. This is more for, can I draw this in a way that makes sense? I don't know if this works or not, but let's get all this in the middle. And let's put all this in a folder. And I'm going to call this, let's see, ankles, knees, hips. Actually, it's really just about the feet, though. Let's just say feet. And how big is this? 8 by 10? Oh, this is, we can shrink this. So we might end up expanding this canvas at some point. So I'm going to take the same principle and kind of apply it on up the chain. If you're just joining us, I'm trying to explain some anatomy stuff that's probably not working very well. Okay, new layer. Let's start this time with the pelvis. Actually, just legs. Let's do legs. So, and this is not going to be like good. Maybe it won't be terrible. And this is another thing where, again, I'm not really trained very well in this stuff, but I'm working on it. Yeah, the knee kind of goes the wrong way. That kind of goes down that way. Something like that? Sure. Now I'm going to take this. We're going to copy and paste it and flip it. Because who wants to draw all that twice? And for the next part, and again, it kind of helps to think about this from the ground up. So if, and let me do this. One more thing I want to point out here. So actually, let me put this at the bottom. So these spiral forces that hold our muscles together, the reason why this happens like this, and it kind of makes sense, a lot of people think about their leg stopping at their ankle and then the foot becomes something else, you know? It helps to think about this as effectively one big, let's say, is tentacle the wrong phrase? Probably so. This is all, hold on one second. Sorry, this is only the weirdest stream ever recorded. what I'm really trying to do is get these side by side. There we go. Do that. And this ankle, I'm going to bend here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So these spiral forces that come down, and if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say spiral forces, it's just if you look at the muscles on a drawing, arms and legs sort of spiral around all the way from the hips to the feet, from the shoulders to the ankle. And if you think about that force as coming down and stopping here, that would be incorrect, because what it actually does is it continues. All right, these spiral forces continue all the way down the length of the foot, okay? Just like a big sock, right? And when your heel is touching the ground, and when your heel has all of the weight, instead of these lines being able to just twist through the leg into the toes, what you end up with are these spiral lines of forces all just end up in a kink through this section. And then maybe some of that tension flows out this way, but for the most part, you end up with a sort of knot right here of tension, because the heel, instead of allowing this stuff to just flow all the way down into the toes, the heel takes that and just stomps it, and it takes that flow completely out of the equation, and it pins it all right here. And this is how you end up with people with like plantar fasciitis, and they're like, oh, all of this stuff is so tight, it doesn't move, I wonder what's going on. Like, your whole leg, okay, is twisting your foot into a knot right here, as opposed to this all being very open and flowy, okay? This changes with the weight shift, because again, this is going to pinch it all down right here and stop that, and you won't get a good, they call it grounding, where you're connecting to the ground when you're doing these sort of meditations. So anyway, what ends up happening is you end up with like a self-made like wrap around your ankle of your own fascia and muscle and tissue and everything else that's gunked up around there. When you pull that heel up, it allows this stuff to start flowing again. It allows the energy that's going down your leg to sort of unwind out of your toes and into the ground here, which is where it's supposed to go. Does that make sense at all? Whoops. This stuff's pretty foreign, so I don't know if it'll make any sense. It makes sense to me. and for the sake of my book eventually, hopefully I'll make it make sense by then. But the same principles apply. I had some knee pain because of excessive running. Started walking on my toes, suddenly no knee pain. Shocker, right? Like, we're all moving wrong, is what I found out. So the same thing applies. You can think about, getting your ankles up and lifted, softening the knees, and all of that's going to help with like lower leg stuff. It's all going to help. I had a buddy of mine that is, he's not an athlete or anything. Like, he's never been an athlete. And we were talking about this, and I had him just shift his weight forward just a little bit to get his heels. Again, his feet are on the ground. His heels are touching. But if this is the heel side, he's really putting the weight on his ball of his feet, and just had him stand there, relax his shoulders. He's like, oh, I feel that a little bit in my calves. I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense. You're like using them for the first time. And then he's like, oh, I feel it in my hamstrings. Oh, it's in my back. Oh, I feel it in my neck. It's like just that fast. It was like the body doesn't want to stay stuck in that position. The second you put any sort of tension in the right way on it, it won't feel good because it's starting to unwind. I've got a theory. I got a lot of weird theories, but I have a theory that, if I give you a 5-pound weight and tell you to hold it out here, and I'm holding my arm way out, can you tell? It's going to start getting heavy, and like your arm's going to start burning, right? And you're like, oh man, this really hurts. This really burns. I'm going to do something terrible to my arm. But if you keep holding it, your arm won't fall off. It just keeps hurting. And then eventually it stops burning. And then you might start to feel a burn somewhere else. I just keep holding it. And you'll start to feel that burn go away. And your body will start to get looser. I think what's happening is it's all of the fascia that wraps through the muscles and bones that is just being pulled apart. It's just unwinding the way it's supposed to unwind, you know? And I've done this a couple of times and I feel better every time. One of the first things you learn in martial arts, someone with their knees and pelvis locked are much easier to unbalance and knock down. Yes, and most people are very locked down, what I'm finding, through their knees and pelvis, short hamstrings, tight pecs, all that stuff makes for a very tight core in a bad way. I'll get back to my legs over here in a second. But if you've got a guy that is standing like this, and all of this is kind of locked up where it doesn't move very well, there's no flexibility. So, you hit this guy, he's not going to do this. He's not going to just bobble here. Like, none of that's his whole body's going to go over because all of this stuff is so locked down. And I think most people don't even realize how locked down their bodies are. I know I didn't until mine broke through. And I was like, oh, that's supposed to move that way? Really? Proper stance for boxing is on the toes. The difference in ease and speed of motion is that the weight is night and day. You feel looser and balanced. Yes, but that phrase on the toes is the part that I think most even the Western people that have figured this out, and I'm not saying you did, but the Western people that have figured this out, it's not the toes. We say toes, and people do then grip with their toes, and that's not what this is. There's a big difference in flat foot on the mat, quick to the back. Yeah, exactly. So, the problem with saying toes, and I'm just clarifying this for anybody else that might be thinking, oh, move the weight to your toes. It's not really about the toes, because when the tension is right, the tension comes down through your body and sort of feeds into this location. What it is, that little arch at the bottom of your foot you're supposed to have? There's a little point that you can dig in right there. That feels great. If you've ever had somebody rub your feet and get a thumb right in the middle of that part, it's like, oh, it feels awesome because it's almost like a little funnel tunnel going into the rest of your body. You know what I mean? And so people that really are able to root, I don't know if root's the right word. It's probably grounding, I think is the right word. They're able to sort of make all of this it's all one thing. It's all one big piece that is flowing through here, right? When you put the weight on your toes and you think about grabbing the earth with your toes, well, then you're adding a lot of forces going out this way and in this way that will affect what happens here. This part is not meant to be locked up in tension. The toes should actually be loose, and you should be able to wiggle your toes doing this. If you find yourself kind of doing that thing, and I'm guilty of it myself, where you kind of lock your toes down and think, oh, I need to grab, well, that creates forces in here that is going to move that line of tension that's meant to be coming in here. So the important thing is to actually relax your feet and let the weight come in this way. Relax your toes, I mean. Let this part carry the majority of the weight. That kind of side to the middle of your foot. Does that make sense? The ball of the foot? Yeah, it's more about the ball of the foot than the toes. If you engage your toes with it, it kind of, to me, I found you lose a little bit. But the same principles apply all the way up to the hips. So most people, when you put them in a stance like this, they're gonna feel it in their knees. They're going to put the weight in their knees and, again, into the ankles, into the ground. And what I've found is you can sort of, if you instead of thinking in terms of, here's my heel, let me get a different color. Here's my heel, here are my knees, and here's my undercarriage. Instead of thinking in those angular terms, kind of take the knees out of the equation so that it's just this. Like, you should really feel a sense more of that from it's foot to foot, like heel to heel, not heel to heel, but foot to foot. And you're thinking about making a bit of a more of a C kind of arch. Like, it's the arch that's holding you up as opposed to the, you know, the scaffolding of your bones. Does that make sense? Anyway, all of this has a very dramatic effect on the pelvis because let's get rid of this guy for a second. This is what I've learned recently about skulls and pelvises, and this will all hopefully I'll be use these drawings some kind of way. Here's a skull. The way that this book describes is mean skull. The way that the book that I'm reading describes the skull and pelvis is that this is a chain with a ball on the end, and then your pelvis is the other ball on the chain. That's how loose that's supposed to be. You guys remember those little things we had when we were kids where it was like, here's a cup, and then there would be a little bird that like his whole body came out this way. And you're like, oh, it's magic. You know, they're really what it was is there's a weight here and there's a center. His center of gravity is right here, but all of the mass is out here. This is actually precisely the way that your pelvis is supposed to work. And I did not know this. It's supposed to basically hang off the end of your pelvis with the mass in front of it, and everything else is floating. It's a completely different mindset, and most people can't even relax this. I couldn't relax all this stuff. All of the abs and chest and all this stuff is just a big knot, big twist. But anyway. Does anybody else remember those birds? Was it just me that had those birds? Okay, and did I save that? No, save that. They have wine bottle holders with the same kind of principle? No, probably. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think, let's see, how are we doing on time? 40 minutes. So I think there's also another illustration that I need to do. And this is, I guess this is like concept art. Is that what this is? I'm not drawing the book yet, but I'm trying to figure it out. I want to make sure that I can, I'm probably working with a co-writer on this. And it's someone that's like written stuff before, so I'm kind of excited about that. But yeah, the good thing about this, I gotta say, is I used to think more in terms of individual muscles, and now that I feel all this stuff so strongly, I feel a lot better about, like, I might not know the muscles right, but I know how they attach, and I know the angles. I think. I think. It might not be right, I know, but it feels right. How are y'all doing? Everybody good? Is this enthralling? Bored out of your mind? No, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out how to show what I'm about to do here. I should use that reference app that I've got. I actually will for the book, but not for this. Okay, so I'm dropping frames? What? No, I'm not. Just got here, not bored yet. Sure. No, I'm kidding. I wonder if it wouldn't make more sense to do this from behind. I'm trying to figure out how to draw what I'm feeling is honestly the biggest problem. Cool stream today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Not quite. By the way, I like to move to Sunday. Easier to make it to the stream. Yeah, I don't know. It's not that I had a whole lot of choice. That was like the only time I could think of that I know I could commit to pretty much every week. But yeah, I'm glad you could come by. I'll tell you what, instead of me trying to work on that right now, I have another idea that I'm gonna get rid of that. Sorry, bear with me a moment here. I don't know where that file is. I need to find some anatomy reference real quick. 1 second. Excuse me. Sorry, I can't find what I'm looking for. Whoops. Maybe for next time. Can we ask questions? Yeah, go for it. This is like, this stream is the most like non-planned event. So yeah, do ask whatever you want, man. I'll be happy to do whatever you want. I can't really find what I'm looking for this, so I'll probably have to do this another time. And that was actually most of my plan today. I forgot to get it. So yeah, ask questions. I'm just gonna draw while you ask questions. Yeah, this is as much for my mental health as y'all's. Like talking to human beings once a week should be useful. I'll be in school with humans. That'll be good. I won't necessarily need it like I did before, but I just like you guys. Do you have any tips on how to represent a color in color a wet floor or like wet concrete or ground depending on the texture when you don't have strong lights to reflect in the puddles? Oh, you had to make it harder there at the end, didn't you? I'm thinking, oh, you just have some strong light reflected in the oh. If it's meant to be wet, what would reflect in it? Like if it's not light, like it would need to be, I think it would be something reflective. Like after a rain. I did a little of that on what was that? I did a video about it too. I'm trying to remember the project. That was like 2 months ago. Is this irreplaceable? No. I don't know where that book is, actually. I'm pretty terrible at oh, there it is, magnetic press. This should be it. Oh, to err is human. That was the name of that story. I'm sorry. We're getting there. This was a Black Box Chronicles. I did some streams, I think, using this stuff. But like the biggest thing, and again I have lights here, but even on in the places where there aren't lights, like I was still thinking about reflecting what was above it. Like in this little section, you know, that being a little bit oranger and warmer. The biggest thing, I don't know, the biggest thing is just to make it more mirror-like in those places, you know? Let's say you have a medievalish city with a stone pavement. How would you represent that being? I mean, the biggest thing is just more speculars, more reflections. Like, I don't really know how else to describe that. Because, you know, the water itself isn't going to have a color, really. It's just going to reflect whatever's around it. But just this kind of thing where you've got, like, and it depends on the angles and all sorts of things. But, yeah, like, that's the only trick I know of. Water tends to make things look darker because the light reflects off the water. That can sometimes do that. So it just depends. It's a good question. But yeah, I would look up reference of just like, you know, wet stone floor and see what it comes up, you know? Mostly, I mean, just glancing around, looking at images from Google, it's pretty much all about the reflections. You know, um, because otherwise, I mean, that's what makes stone look wet is the fact that it becomes more mirror-like. That's actually what specular means. you know, so I don't know. I don't know what I want to draw now. If it was like, I don't know, going back to that question, let me get a brush that is a little bit easier. So like, let's say that like these are your buildings, and it's overcast, and you got some sky back here. Just pull that down, like into wherever your wet ground should be. Like take that reflection and start spreading that around. And it doesn't have to mean you have to have a really strong light source. It just means that you have that you have light reflecting there, and so your brain is going to fill in the difference of, oh, that's wet down there, you know. Um, and if you've got like let's say you've got a building over here and somebody's inside and they got something going on, again, like just reflect that in your your cobblestones or whatever it is you're doing there, and that's gonna start to kind of trick people into thinking, oh, that's wet, you know. Um, anyway, I don't know if that's a good drawing or not, but you kind of get the idea. Hopefully. Any other questions? Anything else I need to demo here? Because I'm not getting anywhere on my drawing that I don't know what I'm doing yet. Give me a lot of trial and error considering I don't have a strong light source. You don't have to have a strong light source. You just have to have a light source. A light source might be a weak gray sky, but maybe you should have a light source. Hopefully. And if not, it's, then you're using like comic book magic light sources anyway. You kind of have to see what's going on, unfortunately. chilling. What's up, Masada? How's it going, man? Yeah, I'm not really doing much anything today at this point. I had some stuff I needed to sketch out. I got that out of the way. And now I'm just goofing around. I'll probably wrap it up early today since I don't have a great plan. I knew I wanted to get everything going with the new move, and that's about it. But yeah, good to see you, man. Excuse me. I think I asked you before, but I want to know if you like Tony Infante's coloring. I'm so out of the loop on like colorists right now. Let's see. Let me look up Tony Infante. Oh yeah, I do remember looking this guy up before. Yeah, a lot of intense colors. Very cool. Yeah, I like it. Oh, there's a video you guys need to watch. I'm gonna send you a link. It's not my video. It's I feel like this guy took all of my attempts at explaining caveman color theory and got them all into one video, perfect for beginners, and I can retire happily because it's so good. I've watched this guy's videos a few times. But yeah, everybody bookmark that video. If you're interested in color at all, I don't care if you've been doing it for a year or 10, you need to watch that video. He talks about tension and eye movement in the same exact way I have, so much better than I have. I don't know if there's a color cake. He didn't need a color cake. No, it's a super impressive video. Be sure to watch it. All right. Well, guys, this stream has been a little anticlimactic. I know. I'm waiting on stuff to come in to get flatted. I was hoping that would be done today, and it wasn't. I was hoping to have another thing done, that wasn't. So yeah, life's just busy, and this weekly stream is gonna try to keep me sane, and try to keep me connected to you guys, hopefully, and we'll have something to do next time. Something to do other than me scribbling my mad anatomy drawings. But anyway, any questions or comments or anything else before we wrap it up today? You finished the book you were on, Dennis. Nice. Congrats. Your boy here might be doing a Booster Gold story. I'll figure out how to make a gray sky reflect on stone. The trick, I still think, is going to be speculars, because even if you have a gray day and gray rocks on a gray ground, hold on one second, let's see. This is going to be lightning fast cobblestone street. Okay. We're close. I'm sure his looks exactly like that. But if you just hint at all that there are little specular highlights on these things, they will start to feel slick and they'll start to feel a little wet, and you want to coordinate them and make them look like they're in the right places or whatever. But that kind of stuff goes a long way to making things look slick. Just any sort of the smallest bit of little specular lights will start to make those things look wet. That's really if you want to make something look wet, just make the speculars smaller and thinner and all of that stuff. Because like if you've got a we've drawn a bunch of legs today. Let's draw some more legs. Hold on. Or an arm maybe. Let's do an arm. So okay, big muscly arm. And if I put some grays or something underneath this, like it's not, whoops, it's not going to look much like it's wet if the highlights are very broad like this. It won't really look particularly wet. But if you start, and you'll see this on a lot of, look up like anime bikini girl, like you're gonna see all this stuff. The more that you start having those speculars get more specific and more and a little tighter and a little smaller, like that's when it's gonna start to feel like, oh, that arm is sweaty, or that arm is, it's been dipped in something or whatever. That is what's going to make it look like it's wet. It's the specular is really what makes the biggest difference. It would also mean it would reflect what's around it. So you would get like brighter stuff on the edges too, probably. But anyway, like it's all about the specular lights. That's the best way to get things looking like they're wet. Dennis already has a new book already. Yeah, awesome. That's great, Dennis. Good to hear. I like to hear people working. I'm currently drawing a 40-page one-shot featuring big monsters versus other big monsters. That sounds fun. Maybe robots. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm glad to see all y'all are chipping away on stuff. Even if you're not, if you're doing it for fun, that's cool too. So should I avoid the cutting grad method, or will that make it look more like metal than wet? It doesn't really matter how you do it. I mean, I did it with a brush just because it's quick and fast. But yeah, you could do it with a cut and grad. You could do it with any kind of method. But think big picture though. It's tough without looking at the art. It's not, if this was a wide shot, it's more about the entire plane of the ground and what's reflecting in that than any specific light. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing about water. Like it's going to reflect. Did I delete all my? I think I deleted all of my. Yeah. Because water, it'll reflect the darkness too. Like that's the thing about anything that's starting to get wet is it will reflect light or dark because it's very slick. Check out Thomas Kincaid paintings. That's the first time I've heard that mentioned like that. I don't like Thomas Kincaid. Sorry. My mom would be so disappointed. So if you have like a stone pavement and a lot of rubble, you can have that reflect its shadow on it. Yeah. I guess I don't. Like I said, it's tough without seeing what you're doing there. It's not. Anything is possible in art. So I don't want to say no, you can't, or yes, you can, or Nintendoni. Thank you for that. I don't think you sound crazy. You're just trying to describe something that is a very visual thing. So it's not your fault. Oh, Angela, you like Thomas Kincaid. Okay, that surprises me. Are we being, we being 100 here? Are we going 100? Are we being real? I think his stuff is so hacky. Like, I let's see. This is just the first. That's not Thomas Kincaid. That's somebody trying to be Thomas Kincaid. And that's not either. Yeah, I'm looking at Thomas Kincaid photos, and they're not Thomas Kincaid photos. I don't know. I think he has an issue with controlling detail. I honestly do. I know he's like he's probably sold more stuff than anybody ever. I can't tell if this is really him or if did he do Disney stuff? Yes, he did. I don't know. I find the values to be very bland. I find there to be too much detail everywhere as opposed to having some measure of control over what's detailed and what's not. Can you make out a shape in this? I mean, vaguely dark shape over here, vaguely dark shape over there. Am I really gonna rank? Am I gonna go in hard on Thomas Kincaid? Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Is this really him or is this his studio? I swear I can't tell anymore. Amsterdam Cafe by Thomas Kincaid Studios. Well, that's not Thomas. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe he stopped painting. And now it's the studio that's doing it. Is this him too? I really don't know. I'm finding stuff that is, I don't know, really over the top. But I can't tell if they're him or not. This one says it's by Thomas Kincaid. And, it's all right. It's just all right. Like, that's the point, is it's so safe. It's so safe. Oh, man, the chat's rolling now that I'm looking at it. Who is Thomas Kincaid? I started with oil painting since I was a kid. Thomas Kincaid refs are pretty popular in those classes. I bet they are. Is it the guy who paints houses in America? Yes. There's lots of false TK paintings. Maybe, probably. Now I wonder what's your opinion on Bob Ross. Bob Ross is a genius. No question. I find it hard to apply the contrast pencils on those paintings when I revised them some months ago. He's been dead since 2012. Okay, well, I'm sorry to speak ill of the dead. But no, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I just don't like his paintings. It's, kind of everything is lit. There's not really shadows, really, in any way. I don't know. His paintings are incredibly, incredibly overwrought to me. And I don't even know if he's doing all this stuff. Yeah, Bob Ross is a saint. So, yeah, that's it. But I didn't realize. So a lot of people like this guy. I do know that. I'm not, an idiot. But I gotta say that they're not all. There's no way he did all this stuff that I'm looking at. I think this Disney stuff has got to be continue to churn out paintings a year after his death. Okay, yeah, they're not him. So maybe I just don't like the stuff that his studio painted after he died. Spirit of no, I'm pretty sure I don't like that stuff either. Hold on, let me see if I can find a better picture of this. Spirit of Christmas, Thomas Kincaid. This is supposed to be him, and I kind of feel the same way. I mean, there's kind of a vague sense of values in here. I think this is mostly light, the thing's dark. I don't know. It's like these two big things are effectively the same thing on both sides of the painting, almost the same size, so like it splits the focus up. Like, yeah, I'm sure I'm pissing some people off here, but I don't want this on my wall. I don't know what it's doing for people. Sorry. Fascinating. Well, now that I know he's gone, I don't feel quite so bad about making fun of him. Sorry, buddy. Any other questions? any other big painters I could crap on for 10 minutes? No, I'm kidding. I know the guy's good. He's good, I guess. People like him. It's not for me. Not everything is for everybody, you know? I was told at one of his galleries that the ones he painted were signed to his wife, but how can you really tell? Yeah. Gotta get going, make some dinner. Yeah, thanks for coming by, Winston. Hi, Michael. How's it going? What's your opinion on Da Vinci? Da Vinci's okay. He's good. You're not putting Da Vinci and Kincaid in the same paragraph, are you? Oh, man. Anyway. Well, look, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up today. Thanks for watching the weird Sunday debut that I was ill prepared for today, but needed to get some stuff out. I'll work on these for later. You have some Neolithic cave paintings you want my opinion on? Hey, I bet they're good. Great contrast. Ending benediction. Dude, you're trying to get us all struck by lightning, right? No, I'm going to pass an offering plate around. That's what I'm going to do. Patreon, YouTube, members, sign up, click stuff. There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll do better next week. Take care.